Phantom returned and joined us. We moved away from the edge of the roof. He said they were in a big mess. They still couldn't believe what had happened to them. They were on their way and would be at the store in a few minutes. We returned to the edge of the roof. I took the gun towards the badge store. Elisabeth threw the blanket over me and pulled it forward until the gun's camera was completely in shadow. It was a bit difficult and I was getting annoyed. But we had no better means of camouflage. The first ones showed themselves. Then the military jeeps loaded with guns appeared. We waited for them to move away from the beginning of the street. They stopped when they saw the remains of the animals. I said into the radio, "Sebastian, are you ready?" "Yeah, we'll take out those snipers first," I said to Elisabeth. Hit one of the drivers at the same time as us. I adjusted the camera on the sniper's face. I started counting. The three of us fired together, with the snipers and one of the drivers down. They scattered like a herd attacked by lions. We started hunting them down. They had nowhere to run. Some ran to the beginning of the street. I looked at the Phantom. After a while, I saw him chasing the fleeing and terrified people. His abilities were much more practical than Sebastian's. His abilities were innate and within himself. Seeing their faces as they shot at the Phantom, but he reached them and killed them without any harm. It was both interesting and scary. I remembered my first encounter with him, a stunned look, a frightened face and a sweaty body. In a short time we got them out of the way. It was a good thing it wasn't a tank because with one bullet it could have caused a lot of damage to the building and we were the losers. After clearing the Phantom, we stopped shooting too. I said, "We did it," Elisabeth said with a laugh. "Yes, we did it," I said wirelessly. "We won." Sebastian said, "It's over." I stood up, and I looked in the direction where the others were stationed. They were waving and I raised my hand in victory. We left the building and headed towards the store. We were ready to shoot at anyone who moved. No one had been able to escape the Phantom's hands. I shook his hand in a wrist position. "You did a great job." Phantom smiled. We had to collect the bodies. It was an unpleasant sight and after a while the stench filled the place. Moving the bodies was a total time-consuming task. I said to John, "We have rope and everything like that in the store." "Yes. This is a chain store," when we were moving extras to the warehouses. There was all kinds of equipment. "Bring whatever rope we have." John went to the store with Sarah, Stephen and Harry and came back with a lot of rope. I started tying the rope around the leg of one of the bodies. And after I was sure it was tight, I went to the next one, tying a few bodies with rope. I said to Elisabeth, "Move the car and come this way with the back of the car." She did it without saying anything. I tied the other end of the ropes to the rear bumper of the car. "Move." The car started moving and after a while the bodies followed. I continued, "Find a good place away from here. We'll gather them together and set them on fire." We started working in silence. Until finally the job was done. We gathered the ropes. We poured gasoline on them with the gallon from the back of their car. We got away from them. I lit the Molotov rocket and threw it at them with full force. The flame engulfed the entire mound and after a while it engulfed them all. We had already collected their weapons and useful objects. John turned on the power to the store again. I sat in a corner. Our victory was for several reasons. The first was the principle of surprise and the elimination of their strong points. The tanks and snipers. The second reason was the area they were in was open and they had no shelter. But the further we went into the city center, the more buildings. Burned and destroyed cars abandoned on the street level, the barricades and the guards and the lookouts. More people and weapons and many alleys and streets and alleyways. Canals and underground tunnels. You couldn't win there with 3 snipers and a Phantom. We needed cold weapons. From crossbows to steel bows and arrows, knives and swords. I asked, "Does anyone know where to find sporting goods around here?" John said, "I know a place. You, Jill and Elizabeth, I'm going there."